16. That's the number of nuclear bombs Iran has the material to build right now. And here's the part that should terrify you. We have no idea where any of it is. The U.S. dropped the most powerful bunker buster bombs on Earth. We destroyed the sites. We called it a success. But the actual uranium was already gone, moved out by trucks 2 days before the bombs fell. An expert who advised every single White House from 2001 to 2024 has been running Iran war simulations for 20 years. And he's giving a 75% probability that this war is about to reach a stage most people don't even know exists. This conversation will change how you see everything happening right now. Before we get into this, if you think more people need to hear what's actually happening in the world, hit like and share this video right now. It genuinely helps us reach people who need it. And subscribe, because the conversations we're having here, you will not find anywhere else. And I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below. Do you think America is walking into a trap it can't get out of? Or do you think Trump plays this better than anyone expects? There are no wrong answers here. Just tell me what you actually think.
Yeah, that is definitely a heavy reality to start with.
It really is. So to transition into the mission of today's deep dive, we're looking at the latest updates and some really intense geopolitical analysis from a military strategist, a guy with 40 years of experience.
Right.
And the goal here is to physically map out the geostrategic implications of this missing nuclear material. Not to debate the morality, but to look at the mechanics of the board right now.
Exactly. And to understand the board, you have to look at the immediate physical fallout. The latest info reveals Iran had uranium enriched to 60%.
Which, I mean, most people hear that and think, well, it's not 90%, so it's not weapons grade yet, right?
Right. That creates a false sense of security. Because depending on their scientists, 60% is absolutely enough to build a functional bomb. And like you said, they have enough for 16 of them.
That is just wild, because I think, most of us picture these massive, sprawling facilities with glowing vats.
Oh, sure. Like out of a movie.
Yeah. But the actual logistical footprint for this material is terrifyingly small. I mean, we're talking about containers the size of large scuba tanks, right?
Yeah, exactly. You don't need specialized military convoys. You can move these scuba tanks in standard commercial delivery trucks completely unnoticed.
Wow.
And crucially, building a crude Hiroshima-style bomb doesn't require cutting-edge miniaturization. The actual assembly can happen in a space maybe 2 to 3 times the size of a normal living room.
And satellite images showed trucks moving the stuff out 2 days before the U.S. bombed the facilities, which means our intelligence is basically Swiss cheese right now.
Right, it's full of holes.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because the military called the bombing a 90+% tactical success just because the bombs hit the physical buildings. That feels like successfully burning down a bank to stop a robbery, only to realize the robbers drove off with the vault 2 days earlier.
That's a great way to put it.
Right. So if the military knows bombs don't just hit targets but actually change politics, why do we keep falling for the illusion of the smart bomb trap?
Well, what's fascinating here is the massive disconnect between tactical measurement and strategic reality. Tactically, did the bomb hit the GPS coordinate? Yes.
Right. There's a crater there now.
Exactly. But strategically, it's a complete failure. Because the first stage failed to secure the actual material, the enemy just disperses their assets. And that forces the U.S. into a much, much more dangerous second stage.
Because the material vanished. So the logical next step for military planners isn't just, flying around looking for scuba tanks in the desert.
No, you have to start removing the people who control the material. Stage 2 is regime change.
Right.
The flaw there is thinking regimes are like Jenga towers that you just pull the top block and the whole thing falls over cleanly. But they aren't. They are highly adaptive matrices.
And the latest updates show us exactly how that matrix adapted. I mean, the previous supreme leader actually had a religious edict, a fatwa, against nuclear weapons.
Yeah, he did. But by allowing Israeli bombs to kill him and, wiping out 20 to 30 of the surrounding moderate replacements, the U.S. effectively guaranteed the rise of his aggressive son.
Oh, wow. And the son doesn't have a fatwa, does he?
No fatwa at all. And politically, he must retaliate to survive, which leads to this terrifying 75% probability from the wargaming.
A 75% probability of hitting stage 3, right, where we deploy massive ground forces.
Exactly. Sending the 82nd Airborne to physically hold ground the size of major international airports just to search for this material. It's a direct echo of the Iraq WMD trap.
So what does this all mean? Because there's a really terrifying historical pattern here. Every time we kill a leader like Gaddafi or in Chechnya or Iraq, the replacement is harder and more radical.
Yeah.
Are we just intentionally breeding our own worst enemies?
This raises an important question. If you look at the historical facts impartially, the pattern is mechanical. The new leader has a retaliation imperative. He literally has to strike back, or his people will kill him for looking weak.
But that forced retaliation isn't going to look like a traditional ground war. Iran is playing a completely different game to trap the U.S., aren't they?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's called horizontal escalation.
Right, because in stage one, they were firing massive missile barrages at Israel. The news noted that sent like 3,000 Israelis to the hospital.
Yeah, but stage 2 shifts away from Israel. They're using precision drones targeting Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and Gulf tourism.
Which is huge because tourism is, what, 5–10% of their GDP?
Exactly. The goal is to break the U.S. coalition.
Yeah.
They want to make the Gulf states so economically desperate that they beg Trump to stop the conflict.
They're literally offering a deal, kick out the Americans and your oil tankers are safe. Here's where it gets really interesting, because Iran isn't trying to win a fistfight with the U.S.
No, not at all.
They're trying to evict the U.S. by making the landlords, the Gulf states, cancel the lease. It's a landlord dispute.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, your analogy is spot on. The gap between Gulf leaders who want U.S. support and their public citizens who strongly oppose Israeli expansion is critical.
It's the soft underbelly.
Exactly. Iran is exploiting that exact gap. And meanwhile, their long-term goal is the North Korea playbook.
Oh, right. Testing multiple bombs simultaneously in the mountains?
Yeah. You do 2 underground tests back to back, and suddenly the world has no choice but to accept you as a nuclear state.
And it doesn't help that diplomatic deals keep falling apart. I mean, looking at the latest info impartially, Israel's actions have repeatedly derailed U.S. deals.
Yeah, that's a huge factor.
They killed the negotiators back in June, right when a deal was supposedly close. And politically, Trump's base makes it incredibly hard for him to control Netanyahu.
The domestic constraints are massive. And while the Middle East is trapped in this escalating spiral, the world's other superpowers are just quietly cashing in.
Let's talk about that, because the geostrategic shockwaves are hitting Russia and China too. The latest info confirms Russia is actually providing targeting intelligence to Iran now.
They are. It mirrors exactly what the U.S. does for Ukraine.
Wait, so is Putin basically holding the Middle East hostage to force a win in Ukraine?
Yes. The potential deal on the table is very straightforward. Putin will stop helping Iran if the U.S. stops helping Ukraine.
Wow. And what about China? Are they just quietly sweeping up the global goodwill while we drain our resources?
Pretty much. China is playing a brilliant long game. They buy about 90% of Iran's oil, but because of how they've built their infrastructure, they don't strictly need it.
So they're insulated.
Highly insulated. You contrast the U.S. forever war mentality with China's domestic focus right now. They are uplifting 9 million people in Wuhan with advanced AI and BYD robotics.
Yeah, they're building the future while we're stuck in the desert.
Right. China's strategy is simple. Don't intervene. Let America exhaust its precision weapons, drain its treasury, and just wait for the window to open on Taiwan. They don't want to accidentally help the U.S. pull a rabbit out of a hat by getting involved.
This whole global chess match really exposes a mismatch, doesn't it, between the psychology of American leadership and the actual structural reality of modern warfare.
Absolutely. The latest analysis dives into this chaos kid psychology in Washington right now,
where politicians think because they can navigate media and political storms, they can control geopolitical chaos.
Exactly. But navigating a news cycle does not translate to the real world, because actors like Iran, Israel, and Russia, they have their own militaries. They can escalate right back.
You can't just tweet your way out of a drone strike.
No, you can't. And impartially speaking, the news noted that on February 27th, Trump rejected a deal that actually offered more verification than the Obama-era agreement.
And chose regime change instead.
Yes, which connects directly to America's structural weakness in these wars of choice.
Yeah.
Think Vietnam, Afghanistan, Iraq.
Right, where the enemy just plays the long game.
Exactly. They play the long game against a U.S. that is currently burdened by $40 trillion in debt.
Which brings us to the domestic danger. We're projecting all this military power outward, but are we completely ignoring the foundation cracking beneath our own feet?
The wargaming heavily points to that. We are seeing internal political violence normalizing. You have militarized immigration, like Operation Midway Blitz.
Assassinations are becoming a regular part of the news cycle.
Right. And a country destroying itself from within cannot maintain global primacy.
So what is the actual move here? What does the 40-year strategist say we should do?
The core advice from the latest info is that the U.S. must stop the search for perfect security. Big powers lose to small countries by seeking absolute control.
So we have to compromise.
Yes, the move is to get back to the table, take a worse deal just to get that 60% enriched uranium out, and freeze the problem for 20 years.
Sometimes kicking the can is the only way to survive.
Precisely.
Think about it. We've spent decades chasing perfect security with bigger bombs and regime changes. But what if the pursuit of perfect security is exactly what makes a superpower destroy itself?
That is definitely a sobering thought to end on.
Thank you all for joining this deep dive. As always, thank you everyone for listening or watching. Be sure to check out our other podcasts where we keep unpacking the realities behind the headlines. See you next time.